Hi and welcome to onmaths.com, predicted paper for June 2016. And through this tutorial we are going to go through a paper which is a prediction of what the June 2016 Edexcel paper is going to be. This paper is available on as a PDF on the website, and for the first time ever you can actually do the paper online. So if you go onto onmaths.com and on the front page you just click on the predicted paper link, and if you type in the answers it marks it for you, tells you what grade you're getting so far, etc, etc. Exactly what I'm doing in this video. Loads of people like printing these out, and teachers, classes, students like being able to do it in class, etc, etc. So I've included a PDF of this. The other advantage of doing the online version is every time you do it the numbers change. The questions don't change, but the numbers in the question changes, so that when you have a go at it again you're not remembering answers, you're remembering strategies and techniques, which is the whole point of this. The grade boundaries are what I think is likely to be the grade boundaries of the actual paper. And so yeah, a lot of this is guesswork. Now people ask me, well, how do I come up with these topics? I'm creating another video on that, which I'm sure will come up as a caption on the screen when I do it. Basically they're the topics that come up the most in the last, I think it was 7-8 years I've got data for. So I've looked at the topics the last 8 years for Edexcel, and they're the topics that regularly come up or in this paper. Now the mix of questions isn't perfect. There needs to be certain percentages of each topic, and because of the way I've done this, it's not perfect, but it's roughly there. So before let's just get started. So let's get going. So where are we? So question 1, as always with this I'm going to stop for a second to have a go at it. If you want to, you can pause it and then I'll go through the answer. Okay, so question 1's a scatter graph, and you can see the scatter graph is from history results and maths results. It says describe the type of correlation, or type of relationship between maths and English, maths and history. I'm doing well. So I can see here that it's going downwards. So I would normally click on this, but this is the PDF version, so I can't. Let's put my black pen on. And so what would I say? I would say negative. Oh, that's not black pen. This is a really good start. Really good start. So that one there. So negative. Don't know why it's so big. Anyway, it says another student got 36 on a history test. So 36 on a history test. So first thing we do with these is we go to 36 and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw a line across. Okay, but I don't know where I'm going. So instead of doing that, I need to do a line of best fit first. So I do a line of best fit first, and if it's like that or like that, and you're asked to do a line of best fit, that actually still gets the mark. What I'm showing now on screen still gets the mark. This would also still get the mark. Some people, they do this and they go, oh, it should be a bit lower, and rub it out. Don't bother. Don't bother. They're very generous with line of best fit. So let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And down. That's roughly right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So it's 23. Okay, so I'm saying 23. Okay, and that would be the marks for that question. Okay, I think there's 3 marks. 1 mark for that and 2 marks for that, I think. Next question. Okay, so if you want to have a go at it, pause it now. Have a go. Okay, so this is a standard probability-based question. It says there's 200 counters in the box. How many blue are there? Okay, so it's 0.4 chance of getting a blue. So I know I need to times these two together. Now an easy way of doing that is I'm going to times it by 0.1 first, because I know when you times something by 0.1 it's just finding a tenth of it, so I know that's 20, and then 0.4 times 200 therefore is going to be 4 times as big, so it's going to be 80. So the answer is going to be 80, and I didn't use the answer boxes before, but I'm going to use them now. Okay, so it says there's a missing one, and sometimes there's 2 missing ones, and sometimes there's just 1 missing one. So this time there's just 1. So I need to add these up. So 4, 7, 8, 9. So that's 0.9. So it's 1 minus 0.9, which we know is going to be 0.1. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to question 3. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, you can see we're already on an E grade, and the E grade is normally around 8 odd marks, so it's about accurate that we would normally be on an E grade by now. So I can see here that I've got 2 lines of that triangle. If we ignore the 2 parallel lines top and bottom, this is a triangle. 2 lines that are equal, so that's an isosceles triangle, which is useful to know. And I've got 2 parallel lines. Now I know that this one and this one will add up to 180 because of Z angles, not Z angles, C angles, or interior angles, or allied angles, or whatever you want to call them, but C angles, they add up to 180. So the first thing I want to do is 180 take away 135. Now I know I need to add 5 to get to 40, and add 40 to get to 80, so that's going to be 45. Now there's a few ways I can do this. I can work out, so I know that one's 45 actually, let's just put that on. I can work out this one because it's angles on a straight line, and therefore this one is also going to be 45, and this one, where if those 2 add up to 90, then this one's also going to be 90. And then take these away from 180, but actually because it's an isosceles triangle, these 2 will be equal. Okay, so let's carry on doing it this way. So 180 minus 45 minus 90, and that equals 45. So my answer is 45. Okay. Right, question 4, pause it now, have a go. Right, good old stem and leaf diagram. So, I'm not going to go through these too much, because I imagine most of you understand how to do these. First thing to do is put the numbers in here. Then you can copy out this again and then do them in order, or you can just cross them out in order. So if I look at the lowest one, so let's go for the 50s first. So 52 is the lowest of the 50s, and then 52 as well. Let's look at the 60s. I think 61's the lowest. 63, 64, and 68. 70 is the lowest, 73, 79, and then 84. Okay, so that's 1 mark for getting them in the stem and leaf diagram, and understanding that instead of 52 we just write 2, and instead of 73 we just write the 3 next to the 70. And then the second mark is for putting them in order of size. So if I put the 3 here and the 1 here, then it would only be 1 mark. Last mark is for the key. Now you don't have to pick one of these values, but since it's there I might as well use it. So 5 line 2 means 52, but you could put anything. You could put 1 line 7 means 17, that's fine. And that's your last mark, so there's 3 marks in total there. Okay, question 5, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so you can see we're now on a D grade, in fact quite far into a D grade. Let's have a look at this question though, because this is quite a common question. This is looking at algebra, and first one says expand, which means multiply out. So I do it as a smile and rainbow, and I always put a line through there to remind me to times it. So 3 times 2x, I can put this straight in the answer box. So 3 times 2x is 6x, because 3 times 2 is 6, and then there's no x there and it's just an x there, so we put the x. And then 3 times positive 4 is going to be positive 12. Okay, and that's my answer. This one, there's 2 brackets. It shouldn't be too bad, but it means I can't just put it straight in the answer box. Okay, and let's put my little lines through to remind me to times it. Okay, so this time 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times 5 is 15. Now, that number there is not a 4. And lots of people think that's a 4, it's not a 4. Now, it's not just, I haven't picked a weird font that a 5 looks like a 4, it is the number 4, but actually it's a minus 4. So I'm not timesing 4 by 6x, I'm timesing minus 4 by 6x. Now minus 4 times positive 6x is going to give me a negative, and 4 times 6 is 24, and then that x is just there because there's no x on the outside, so it's just going to be there. But this time, minus 4 times minus 7, 2 minuses when they're multiplied give you a plus. And 4 times 7 is going to be 28. Now, going across here, this 6x minus 24x, well, a different way of doing it is minus 24 plus 6. Okay, and that's going to give us minus 18x. And then 15 plus 28. So 15 plus 28 is going to be, well, 8 plus 5 is 13, 23, 33, 43, so plus 43. Okay, right, this next one says expand and simplify, and it's a quadratic. So there's 2 different ways of doing this that I know of. In fact, there's quite a few probably, but there's double smiles and rainbows. So you do a smile and rainbow from this, and a smile and rainbow from this, or use foil. Now, since a lot of people use foil, I will do it. Some teachers absolutely hate it, some students hate it, but since it's quite common, I'll do it for this one. So this means first, outside, inside, last. It tells you which to multiply. The 2 first ones are 3x and x, which gives us 3x squared, because x times x is x squared. The outside is the 3x and the 2. Now, I always put a plus here because it's positive. I don't always, because if it's negative I put minus. 3x times 2 is going to be 6x. The inside, now this time to minus 2 times x, which would be minus 2x. And the last, minus 2 times positive 2 is going to be negative 4. Now the 2 normally that you will be able to put together are these 2. Okay, those are the ones you'd normally be able to put together. So 3x squared, 6x take away 2x is going to be positive 4x, and then take away 4. Now factorise means put into brackets, so if I can put a set of brackets down, because I know I'll need them. Now 18 and 12, I'm just looking at the numbers first. 18 and 12 are both in the 6 times table, so I know there's going to be a 6 there. And a squared, which is a times a, and a, so they both have an a in common. And 18 divided by 6 is 3, a squared divided by a is a, and then 12 divided by 6 is 2, and then a divided by a is 1, so it's 2 times 1, which is 1. Okay, last one, factorise, but this time it's a double bracket. Now the first term is y squared, so we know both of these will have to be y. Now these add together to make a negative and times together to make a positive. The only way that can happen is if they're both negative. And two numbers that times together to make 6 and add together to make -5. Well, it's going to be 3 and 2. Now, you can always check both of these ones by expanding them and seeing if you get the same answer, and you should do. Okay, let's move on. Alright, if you want to have a go at this, pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so this is quite a wordy question. It's basically about two buses, blah blah blah, lots of words and stuff like that, and lots of interesting things that I've written in the question. But it's basically asking you, between 6 and 15, those two times tables, which number comes first, comes up in both of those times table first, okay? It's the lowest common multiple, we call it in maths. So the way of doing this is just literally write the times tables. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. I have a feeling I'm going to stop there. And for 15 minutes, so 15 times table, 15 and 30. And it's just going to be the first number that comes up in both of the times tables, which you can see is 30. Now it says all buses start service at 9 o'clock, so it's going to be 30 minutes past that. Now sometimes for this question the answer will be perhaps 70. Now if the answer is 70, don't forget that there's only 60 minutes in an hour, so that's going to be 1 hour. Oh, it seems to be going off a little bit. 1 hour and 10 minutes. Doesn't like drawing down there for some reason. Okay, right, let's move on. So if you had to have a go at this question, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is quite a complicated question. Looking at the diagram without rereading the question, I notice that yes, it looks quite complicated, but if I just focus on the cross section, which is this bit here, I notice that it is a shape that I do know how to work out the area of. To work out the area of this shape, I'm really bad at keeping in the lines. To work out the area of the shape, I need to know what it is, and it's going to be a trapezium. The reason I know that is both this line here and this line here are parallel, because they're both going upwards, and they hit this thing here at right angles, so I'll need to know that as well. So this length here is 25, because it's the same as the length over there. This length here is 5.8, and this length here is going to be, it's marked 6.2. So with the trapezium, the two bases, because the trapezium has two bases, are the ones that are parallel, which is going to be these two, and the height hits them at right angles, and we can see we've got right angles here. So 25 is the height, which is odd because it's going across, so it's a trapezium on its side. Now to work out the area, I know that it's half A plus B H. That's the formula for area of a trapezium. A is going to be one of the bases, so 5.8, and B is going to be the other base. Now looking at that, they add together to make 12, and so half of 12 is going to be 6. So half of them added together is 6, and then I'm going to times, don't know why I wrote a plus, then I'm going to times it by the height. Now we said that 25 is the height, because 25 hits both the bases at right angles. Now I know 4 times 25 is 100 and 2 times 25 is 50, so that's going to be 150. But that's the area of this shaded in bit here. I need to work out the volume for this, otherwise I'm not going to be able to answer this question. Now the volume is the cross-sectional area times the depth, or times the length, or whatever you choose to call it. So this 10 here. So to find the volume, I get the area, which is 150, and I times it by the depth, so times by 10. When I do that, I get, just put a 0 on the end of it, and that's going to be meters cubed. Okay, because the volume's always the unit cubed, and these are all in meters, as you can see. Okay, it says that it's doing it at a rate of 30 meter cubed per minute. So it's saying in the first minute it's 30, then it's 60, then it's 90. Now we know that the pool is going to be 1,500 meters cubed. That's the volume of it. That's how much it needs to be filled up. So in maths, when I want to work out how many of these there are in this, I use division. Now a different way of doing a division is going to be using a fraction, and I find fractions a lot easier because when we put them on top of each other, you can see straight away something we can get rid of. The zeros. We can divide them on by 10. We can also do 150 divided by 3 now, which will be 50. So it's going to be 50 minutes. Okay, so question 8. Pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so you can see here that if we get this right, we'll get a C grade on this predicted paper. So let's have a look. 45 product of prime factors. So the first thing I do is draw 45 and do two little things coming out of it. I've got to work out two numbers that times together to make 45. I know that 45 is 9 times 5. Now 5 is a prime number, so I can't go any further with 5, but 9 is not, because it is 3 times 3. Now both 3 and 3 are prime numbers. Now I don't have any left to do, those are all of them, but the answer bit here looks a bit weird. Well, that's because it says it wants it in index form, which means instead of 3 times 3, I need to write 3 squared times 5. And that's my answer. Okay, if you'd like to pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so good old recipe question. Let's have a look. So this recipe is for 16 biscuits and Fred wants to make 24. So the first thing I want to work out is 16 times what is 24. Now to do that, we use our old friend the division. I do 24 divided by 16 to work out what 16 times is by to get to 24. Divide someone by 8 and you get 3 over 2, which is also 1.5. So it's going to be 1.5. Okay. So I'm going to be timesing these 4 by 1.5. Now I'm going to save the first one till last because that's actually quite difficult. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's easy, who knows. I'm going to do the 80 first. So to do times something by 1.5, what you can do is halve it and then add it on. So 80, half of that is 40, and then add it on is going to be 120. 32, half of that is 16, and then add it on. So add on 16 is going to be 8 and 4, so 48. 2, half of that is 1, add it on is 3. Now, what I need to do here is half of 96. So half of 90 is 45, half of 6 is 3, and then 90 plus 45 plus 3 is 48. So half of it is 48, and I want to add on that to 96. So I could just do a little bit like this. So I'm going to do 6 plus 8, which is 14. And then 9 plus 4 plus the 1 is also going to be 14. So it's going to be 144. And just because you're top set maths, or maybe you're not, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't be writing this stuff down if you need to. Okay, I still need to occasionally. Right, it says, James says a kilogram. Now, first thing I notice is everything's in grams, and that's saying kilograms. The first thing I want to do is think, right, that's going to be 1,000 grams. And it says how many how many things can you make? Let's have a look. So there's 96 grams for 16 biscuits. So I know that, well, I've got to work out how many 96s there are in 1,000. So I need to do my 96 times table. Well, I can jump a little bit because I know that 10 times 96 is 960, and I know that 960 plus 96 is going to be more than that. In fact, I might just show to the examiner that I know that. 10 times 96, so let's have a think. So add on the 6, and that's going to be is it 1,056. Okay, add on the 6, 966, then I'd add on 100 and then take away 10. So I know that that's too much. Okay, but, well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because I want to make a point on that. But these 96 make 16 biscuits. They make 16 of them. So I know that 10 lots of 16 would be 160. Now it might be tempting to think, right, okay, 160, that's the finished. But yes, he can't make another lot of 16, but he might be able to make 2 or 3. So we've got some left. We've got 40 grams left, and we need to know how many he can make with that 40 grams. So what I need to do, and what I should have done first, is work out how many 16s there are in 96. So work out how much flour is needed just for one biscuit. So that's the first thing I want to do. And 5 times 16 is 80, and plus another 16 is 96. So I know that, 96 divided by 16 is going to be 6. And there are 40 left here. So 40 divided by 6. I know 6 sixes are 36, and 7 sixes are 42, so that's going to leave 6 left. So it's going to be the 160 here, plus with that little smidgen left, he can make another 6. So it's going to be 166. Now always check your answer here, check you're working out. Well, there's 960, so it's going to be 10 of them, not 11, and 10's worth 160. And from that 960 that we used, he's going to have 40 left, and each of them takes 6 grams of flour. So 90 divided by 6 is going to be 6, with a bit left. Okay, but it doesn't ask us about the bit left, it just says what's the maximum amount of biscuits that you can make. Nice and easy when you know how. Okay, so let's move on. So question 10, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, because this comes from an interactive quiz, I think I've said this a few times, this would normally be a drop down, which is why it says please select. and there's nothing there. It's just a picture of a drop down box. If you go onto the website, you can have a go at this predicted paper and be able to choose this and see if you get it right. However, we don't need options. We can do this without options. It says how much do you spend per day, so there's the time frame, so it's not going to be time frame, on homework. 0 hours to 1 hour, 1 hour to 2 hours, more than 2 hours. Right, so if you have a look at this and this, that should be your answer, or 0 and 0. Overlap. I would expect any answer that is looking for a mark to have this word here. Okay, you just need to say that the times overlap, okay, or the tick boxes overlap, and then maybe just say that if you had 1 hour you could pick 2 or something like that. You're looking for gaps, overlaps, or no time frame. Okay, there's definitely no gaps, and there's a time frame, so it's going to be overlap. It's going to be one of the three. Sometimes there's biased questions, but they don't turn up that often. Okay, let's move on. So question 11, if you'd like to pause the video, have a go. Okay, so normally, sometimes, occasionally, you would get a little diagram with this. I would heavily recommend you draw one if one's not given, because these are quite difficult to work out without a diagram. So I'm just going to draw a straight line across, and I'm going to mark the 3 locations. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. So he drives from Chelton. So stupidly, I've not named them different letters. Normally you'd have A, B and C, but anyway, to Bolco. So Bolco is his destination. I can call that a B, and then he stops at Chemstow on the way. So the distance between these two is 32 miles. Okay, I'll leave it as M because that could be meters, but I know there's no meters in this question, so I'm just going to know that's miles. And distance between these two is 11 miles. He leaves there at 9 o'clock. I could write that down, why not? Okay, and that's the time that he leaves. He drives from Chelton to Chemstow, an average speed of 64 miles per hour, so 64 miles per hour. Okay, I put distance at the top, speeds at the bottom. What speed does David between, that's good, have to do, I think that means, between Chemstow and, I've not really done very well with this question. I might we'll change this. If you go to the website, this will be changed. Let's just edit it to arrive at 9:45. So he wants to get there by 9:45. Okay. Now, speed, distance, time are things in which we've got a little triangle for. Now, with triangles, generally speaking, as long as you know what's at the top, you can do the rest. I know it's distance that's at the top, speed and time. And the way this works, you cover one of them up and it tells you how to work out the other two. So if I cover time up, it's distance divided by speed. If I cover distance up, it's speed times time. If I cover speed up, it's distance divided by time. Okay, you cover up either your thumb or something like that. So I know the distance and I know the speed for the first leg, so leg 1, but I don't know the time. So I'm going to call it leg 1. And the examiner would know what you meant by leg 1, as long as they could read your handwriting, which I've not done a very good job there. So I want to work out the time for it. So time is the distance, which is 32, divided by the speed, which is 64. And this just so happens to be 0.5 hours. 0.5 hours is not 50 minutes, which some people think. Half an hour. 0.5 is a half. Half an hour we know is 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, so I know that he's at, what did I call it, Chemstow, at 9:30. Okay, because it took him half an hour. and that leaves 15 minutes to get back. So leg 2. So this time I want to work out the speed, because it says what speed, and I know the distance is 11, and I know the time is 0.25, because it's 15 minutes, which is a quarter of an hour. Is it 11 miles? I've not made this a very nice question. Oh well. Okay, so when I do 11 divided by a quarter, if you know same change flip, then you'll know that it's 11. It's going to be, let's do it up here. So it's 11 divided by a quarter. Okay, the same change flip means you keep the first one the same, change the divide to a times, and flip the second one, which is going to be 4 over 1, which is just 4. So that's going to be 44. Okay, or how many quarters there are in 1? Well, there's 4 quarters in 1, so how many in 11? Well, 4 as many, 4 as much. Okay, 4 times as many. I'm doing well at speaking. So 44 miles per hour. That's going to be the answer. Okay, let's move on to question 12. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, good transformation description question. So you should know there's 4 transformations. There is reflection, rotation, translation, enlargement. And 2 of those 4 have 2 marks when asked for. Reflection, you're only going to be asked for the line of reflection, or the mirror line, or whatever you want to call it. So that's only going to be 2 marks, 1 for saying reflection and 1 for saying the equation of the line. For translation, you're only going to be asked for the word translation and how far up and right it is. The other 2 are going to have 3 marks. Enlargement, you need the centre of enlargement and you need the scale factor. And rotation, you need the centre of rotation and the angle, and sometimes the direction. If it's 180 degrees, you don't need to say the direction because it doesn't matter. So always have a look at how many marks are given, because it actually can tell you the answer. Alright, so for this one, I haven't actually put the amount of marks, but it is going to be 3, and you can see that it goes from that way up to on its side. Okay, so it's obviously rotated. So rotation is always going to be the first mark. So let's write that down. Rotation. That's always going to be the first mark. So make sure you write that. Don't say flipped or swiveled or anything else. Use the actual word rotation. Okay, I need to know how far it's rotated. So it's gone from that way up. It's sort of pointing that way to pointing this way. Okay, so that's going to be a quarter turn, which we say to 90 degrees. Now, I do need a direction on this because it's not 180. It's going to be anti-clockwise. So, anti-clockwise. My handwriting's appalling. That's going to be your second mark. Okay. The last mark, as I said, is for the centre of rotation. Now, the best way of doing this is with some tracing paper. I don't have tracing paper, so the way I sort of do it is normally it's going to be roughly over here somewhere. It's normally going to be either the origin or quite near the origin. In fact, a lot of times they just pick the origin. I know it's not going to be the origin, because if I pick the origin and I imagine these 3 squares here, imagine rotating them, and if it was the origin it would be here. I do the same thing. I create, well, instead of 3 I'm going to go up 5, and I'm going to go to this point here, and let's go across 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there we go. So I know it's going to be there. The best way of doing it, I mean, I just know, I just look at it and I can do it. There's no strategy in my head. I just pick points and see if it works. and do a bit of trial and error. But the best way is just get some tracing paper and do the trial and error, but actually put your pen on different points and see if they line up, see if it works. So I would say center of rotation. It doesn't like writing down here anyway. Rotation equals what is it? 0, 2. Along the corridor 0, and then up the stairs 2. And that's going to be the third mark for that. Okay, let's move on. So question 13, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is quite a tricky question. Tiling questions seem to come up a lot. This is also the second trapezium question. You won't get 2 trapezium questions, but I think I was hedging my bets whether it was going to be, whether it might be in here, but whatever. So I know it's a trapezium, and as we've gone through before, to work out the area of a trapezium is going to be half A plus B H. A plus B is going to be 5. Am I right on that? Yeah, and then half of that is going to be 2.5. And let's just check I'm right with that. No, it's going to be 4. Oh, it's late. Right, 2.7 plus 1.3 is obviously 4. Half of that is 2. And then times 15.5. 2 times 15.5. Well, 2 times 15 is 30. 2 times a half is 1. So it's going to be 31 meters squared. So I know the area is 31 meters squared. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff here. So the tiles are sold in packs which cover 3 meters squared. Jenny has a discount, £100 spent. So there's a lot in this question. Okay, so let's work out the 25% off this first before we move on. So what would I do first? I'd probably convert that into pence, I think. Now, if it's 25% off, that means I've got to work out a quarter of that. And a way of doing that would be to halve it and then halve it again. Or I could do long division. So let's try long division, see if that works. So 4s into 1 doesn't go. So 4s into 13 go 3. Remainder 1. 4s into 12 go 3, 4s into 0 go 0. So the answer is 330. So I know she gets a discount of 330. So let's take away 330 from that. So 12 take away 0 take away 0 is 0. 12 take away 3 is 9. 12 take away 3 is 9. So it's 990. So it's going to cost 990p per 3 meters squared. Okay, so 3 meters squared. Squared is that. Okay. So, therefore, 30 meters squared is going to be 10 times bigger, which is going to be 990 with a 0 on the end of it. And therefore, 31 meters squared. Can we do, we can't do 31 meters squared. It doesn't work that way because they come in packets of 3. So I'd need to buy 33 meters squared in order to get the 31. I want 31 meters squared coverage, but if they come in packs of 3, I can't get 31, I need to get 33. So I'm going to add on another one of these. And if I line these up nicer, it would be easier, but 0 plus 0, here's where I make a mistake. 9 plus 0. Now 9 plus 9 is 18. And then 1 plus 9 is 10. Okay, so if you can't see that, that is 1, 0, 8, 9, 0. Which is, if I put the point back in for pounds, it's £108.90, but it says it wants it in pence. Basically, I can't work with decimals when people put stuff in sometimes, so I've worked in pence, so it's going to be 890, because it asked me how much extra does Jenny need to buy the tiles. Jenny need to buy the tiles because she's got £100, but she needs an extra £8.90 or 890 pence. Oh, that was painful. Painful. Let's move on. Okay, so if you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so the word regular means that all these angles are the same. There's 2 rules that should kick in with the word regular. The first rule, I'm going to do it over here to not disturb the diagram. First rule is all the exterior angles will add up to 360, which they will anyway if it's not regular, but you can just divide it by the amount of sides if they're regular, if all the angles are the same. The second thing is that the interior angles, you can do the number of sides a polygon has, take away 2, so take away 2 and then times by 180, and that will tell you what the middle angles add up to, and then you can divide by the amount of sides to work out an individual angle. So I can do either of those, so I'm going to show you both. So I'm going to work out this angle and this angle, and actually I need to do it once because they're the same shape. Pentagon has 5 sides, I hope. Take away 2 and times 180. Okay, 5 take away 2 is 3, and if you think about it, I can cut this up into 3 triangles, which is why this works. Each triangle has 180 degrees in it, so therefore it will be 3 lots of 180. Now I know that 2 lots of 180 is 360, and I know 3 lots of 180 is 540. So it would be 540, but it has 5 sides, so I need to divide that by 5. 500 divided by 5 is 100, 40 divided by 5 is 8, so it will be 108. So this angle here is 108, this angle here is 108, and A is left. Now this is angles and a point, which add up to 360. So 360, take away 108, take away 108, so take away 216. And actually I might do this like this so we can make sure we get the right answer. So 216, and that's going to be a 5, carry the 1, so that's going to be 4, 4, 1, so 144. The other way to do this is carry this line on, and you've actually got 2 exterior angles. Now I said the exterior angles add up to 360, so I can do 360, which the exterior angles of the pentagon adds up to, divided by 5, because there's 5 sides, and 5's in 360 is what, about, oh, my mind's gone blank. So 5's into 100 is 20, into 300 would be 60, and into the remaining 60 here would be 12, so it would be 72. And so 72 here and 72 here, add the two together will be 144. So I'm right, thank goodness. 72 plus 72, which equals 144. Both of these strategies, okay, so this method here, which is probably easier, and this method over here, okay, both these strategies work fine. You just pick. In fact, if you have time left in the exam, you can just check with the other one. Okay, let's move on. So question 15, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so this is not an easy question at all. This is talking about means of means and all sorts. The important thing to think about with this, and there's loads of different ways of doing this question, I'm just going to show you the one that I think will help you the most. Important thing to realise is the mean actually is one of these triangles which we talked about earlier. Okay, and I totally haven't left enough room. The mean is the sum of everything divided by the totals, by the amount, I should say. Okay, which actually makes a little triangle. So you add them all up and divide them by the amount of numbers, but you make a little triangle with that. And looking at this, the mean number of coins for children. So if I do children, if I just look at children, it's saying that the mean, oh, this is a rubbish triangle. The mean is 13, and I know that there are 27 plus 18, which will be 30, 45. Am I correct on that? I hope I am. 45 of them. So, using this triangle, I can actually work out what all their ages add up to, or what all of their coins add up to. Okay. So, I do that by 13 times 45. Now, oh god, this is going to be nice. 10 times 45 is 450. 3 times 45. 2 times 45 is 90. 90 plus 45 is 135. Then add these together. Should be a 5 here, an 8 there, and a 5 there. So therefore 13 times 45. I could actually do that long multiplication. Well, I don't know why I didn't, but anyway, 585. So the totals, all of them add up to 585. So if you add up all of the coins, in total it's 585. So that's the children. Right, let's look at the boys. I'll do the same thing. Slightly less dodgy triangles, still quite dodgy. Okay, so the mean is 9. How many boys are there? There are 27 boys. Now, and I want to work out the sum. Let's do that, I times them. So, I could do 10 times 27, which equals 270. And then 9 times 27 is 27 less than that. I don't know why I'm doing all of this work. But anyway, 10 take away 7 is 3. 6 take away 2 is 4. And 2. So 243. So therefore, the girls have to be 585, okay, minus 243, which is going to be 2, 4. So the girls have to add up to 342, and there are 18 of them. So it's going to be 342 divided by 18, which is nice and easy, isn't it? Okay, so I need to do, let's write that down. So 342 divided by 18, because I know that that's going to give me the right answer. So I know that 10 times 10 times 18 is 180. What is 20 times 18? Is that going to help us? So 18 times 2 is 36, so it's going to be 360. It's actually not too far away. So let's take an 18 off. So if I take away 18, if I take away 10, it'll be 350. And then take away 8, it's going to be 342. Hey! So I know it's going to be 19. So 19 times 18 is 342, therefore the mean is 19. Okay, check that makes sense. Well, the boys is 9, the average in total is 13, and there's loads of boys, so the boys are going to have quite a lot of influence over the mean, and there's less girls. So this is, let's have a think, there's less girls, so they should have less of an influence. Is that correct? I'm saying it's 19. It looks good to me. I think, looking at that... Oh, of course it is, yeah, okay. Good, yeah. So, boys are here, girls are here. Okay, the mean will naturally gravitate to which of these has the most. And since boys has the most, the mean sort of gravitated slightly towards the boys because there's more of them, so they've got more of a pull to this mean. I always imagine the mean as sort of a tug of war with both of these fighting over the mean, and the more of one of these there are, the more it drags the mean towards it. But my point is that it makes sense. 19 is a good answer. If I got an answer, and I'm going to pretend here, you're probably not going to see this, but let's say I've got an answer of 2. Oh, I thought I'd change it anyway. So this one's fake, okay? Then, if the girls are a mean average of 2 and the boys a mean average of 9, how the heck do we get an average of 13 in total? It doesn't make any sense. You want the actual average to be between the two other averages, okay? Anyway, that's probably going way too much detail. Let's move on. So we're well into B grade now. If you'd like to pause the video and have a go. Okay, so this is a nice, easy, cough question. Okay, it looks daunting, but actually it's quite simple. The first thing you need to do is put brackets around these. And some people do it without. I think it makes it a lot easier, because at this early stage you want to see this as one thing. It doesn't help you looking at it as two different things. Now, we know that this line here means divide. Over and divide mean the same thing. So we're saying we're dividing this side by this thing here. So I want to get rid of the fraction, and the first step in all of these things is always getting rid of this fraction. And to do that I times both sides by whatever is at the bottom of the fraction, which we're treating as one thing. Okay, that would mean on this side I get x bracket y minus 2, this thing that I'm timesing both sides by, and on this side it sort of frees it up. Now I don't need those top brackets anymore because these are free, because they're not trapped in this fraction anymore. They're free to roam. At this next step I'm not actually going to do anything both sides. I'm just going to do my smiles and rainbows. So x, y minus 2x equals 4 minus 3y. Now I want to collect all the y's, because I want y equal. I want to collect all the y's on the same side. So I can add 3y to both sides. Okay, so it would be xy minus 2x plus 3y equals 4. And now I'm going to add this 2x to both sides, because I don't want the x on the left hand side. I'm going to just have y's. So it would be xy plus 3y equals 4 plus 2x. Alright, now I've said I only want y's on this side, but you can see that this y is trapped with this x, and this y is trapped with this 3. Now, a lot of people forget that they do know a process of converting 2 y's into 1, and that process is factorising, putting it into brackets. Because if I factorise this, I can factorise out the y, look, 1, and what's left in here is the x plus 3. I've stripped both of these, I've stripped the y from both of these, and I've only written it once. And since the question wants an answer of y equals, where there's one y, then it's going to be the only way to do that. 4 plus 2x, I'm not doing anything to this side. And then simply I do the opposite of the way I started. I divide both sides by this thing here. So I want to divide both sides by the x plus 3. Okay, and sometimes I put them in brackets, but whatever. So we're going to end up with y on this side, 4 plus 2x over divided by the x plus 3. So y equals 4 plus 2x, it doesn't matter which way around the 4 and the 2x go, over x plus 3, or 3 plus x, it doesn't matter which way around. Okay, so question 17, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so for this question we need to divide. So it's saying that this one here is heavier than this one, and it wants to know how many times more heavier. So if I had 8 and 4, to find out how many times heavier 8 is than 4, I would do 8 divided by 4. It's 2 times heavier. Okay, so I need to do this divided by this. So let's put it into brackets, 3.02 times 10 to the power of 23 divided by, and I'd normally do it as a fraction, but for this there's a nice way of doing it, which we can do if we set it out this way. It's a bit easier to do it. Okay, the nice way of doing it is we pair these up, and we pair the two numbers together, and we divide them, 6.04, and we just change all the signs, so this now becomes a times, and we pair the standard form up, the powers, 23 divided by 10, 21. Now this is probably going to be the non-calculator. It sometimes is on the calculator, but probably it's going to be non-calculator, so the divisions are not going to be that difficult. So I know that that's 6.04 is twice as big as 3.02, so that's just going to be 0.5 times. Now the rules with indices, if it's the same base, the big number's the same, if you're dividing, you take away the powers. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 23 take away 21, which is 2. So you might be tempted to put in 0.5 and the 2. You will lose a mark because it says give your answer in standard form. So we need it in standard form. 0.5 at the moment is not in standard form. So I need to get it to 5. That's what I need to do. Now if I'm going to make that 5, I need to change the power here. Now if you think about it, I've used up one of these powers to make that 5. So that therefore is just going to be 10 to the power of 1. So my answer is 5 times 10 to the power of 1. And that's standard form. Let's move on. Okay, question 18. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, there is a second part to this, so I will show you the second part, if I can. There we go. There we are. Let's leave it there. Okay, so if you like to use the second part as well, pause the video now and finish off. Okay, let's get started. So, cumulative frequency just means running total. So to fill out the cumulative frequency, it's going to be 17, then add 7, which is going to be 24. Then add the 24, which is going to be 48. Then add the 6, which is going to be 54. Then add the 6, which is going to be 60. And it says there's 60, so if it says it in the question and you end up with 60, you're pretty much there. Okay, so the next thing to do is do the table, and whenever you're plotting these, you are using the maximums, which is the ones I've highlighted here, unlike the frequency polygon, which you use the midpoints. Always use the maximums on the cumulative frequency. So 20 is going to be 17 up. Now I'm going to be rubbish at this because I cannot use this thing accurately, but hopefully yours are better than mine. It's 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm actually going cross-eyed. 60 would be 48, so 60 is roughly there. 2. I think that's about right, and 60 is going to be 80 is going to be 54. Not quite yet. I got enthusiastic there that I'd almost finished. I think it's going to be roughly there, and 100, thank goodness, is going to be 60, so up there. And there's also 0, because if you look at the lowest one, we know there's no frequencies below 0, so we put 0 at 0. Right, the next step is to join these up with lines. Now, some people use curves, and you should actually use curves, but the problem with using curves is you sometimes get them wrong, and you sometimes miss out points. And actually on your exam, you never lose marks if you use straight lines. So I would recommend just join them up with straight lines. Use your ruler and you won't lose marks. Okay, so I've done that. Now I don't think I can move off this to look at the next questions, but I think question C is find the median, I assume. So I mean, I did write it, but it was a while ago. So I know that there's 60 in total, so to find the median I need to go across from 30, across and down, and draw it on so the examiner can see that you're doing it. I'm running out of, let's move that down a bit, running out of space here. There we are. Just about manage it. Right, looking at that, it's going to be 40, 41, 42, 43. So my answer to that is going to be, and I'll do it here, 43. D, I think it's basically asking for the upper quartile. It says at what point is there 25% more than. We'll have a look at it in a second, but I think to do it I need to work out the upper quartile, so let's do that. So if it's 30 is half of 30 is 15, and add the two together gives me 45, so I need to go across from 45 and get it right, and down. Oh, so close yet so far, right? Should be about there, so that's going to be 59, I think, 59. So I'm going to write 59 down, but let's just check what the question says. I should have read it when it was up. Stupid. 59. Okay, let's check the question. So the question says, what age were 25% of the people questioned older than? So that is going to be 59. Fantastic. And that was median. Excellent. Let's move on. So we're now on to A grade. In fact, we've been on A grade maybe for a while, I don't know. So pause the question, pause the video, have a go at the question. Okay, so I've sort of repeated myself a little bit with this because we've had cumulative frequency, now we've got box plots, but you will sometimes have cumulative frequency on one paper and then box plots turn up on the other paper. So it's not unusual to have both topics being asked for. Work out the medians for question 1. Median is this middle bit of the box plot, so that's going to be 6, nice and easy. Work out the interquartile range. This is the upper quartile, and this is the lower quartile. So the interquartile range is 10, take away 3, which is 7. Okay, now it says compare the two distributions. First thing you need to compare is the median. So the median is 21 on that one and 6 on that. So you need to say that, what is this, cats? Cats have a higher median. Okay, so cats have a higher median. And actually use the numbers. I can't be bothered to write them down now, but use the numbers. So say because 21, cat's got 21 and dog's got 6. Okay, the second thing to do is either the range or the interquartile range. I've already worked out the dog's interquartile range, so I might as well just use that. Let's try and do the 7 there. So it's going to be, for the cats, 29 take away 13. So if I show over here, 29 take away 13, it's going to be 16. So cats have a higher interquartile range. Again, this pen hates going this low. Right, and that's it. That's going to be full marks. So question number 20. Pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so the first thing to realise with these is that 0.1 recurring is 1 over 9, and I don't know, 0.4 recurring is 4 over 9. Moving on from that, 0.13 with both of those recurring is 13 over 99. So the amount of digits that are recurring, you just put that amount of 9s there. Now the problem with this is there is a 0 here, which means we've got to do something about that. So the way of doing that is just think, or if it said 0.74 recurring, you know that that's going to be 74 over 99. Now you can show this with algebra. About why this works. You get x equals to 0.74 recurring, then 100x would be 74.74 recurring, take them away, 99x equals 99x equals 74, and then divide both sides by 99 and you get 74 over 99. If you get any revision guide or textbook, it'll go through that with you. A lot of students don't care about that, they want to get the A grade or whatever. So they just remember 2 digits, 2 9s, as simple as that. And to get from this to this, I divide it by 90. So I need to divide this by 90 to get my answer to this. Now, when I divide this by 90, I could actually times the bottom by 10. When I divide this by 10, I could times the bottom by 10, and that does the same thing. Okay, so that's going to be over 990. Okay, because I've divided this by 10, and to do that I times the bottom by 10. Now they're both even numbers, so I know that that's not quite finished yet. half of 74, so half of 70 is 35, half of 4 is 2, so 35 plus 2 is 37, and half of 900 is 450, do a bit of working out over here, half of 90 is 45, and so that's going to be, let's finish it off over here, 495, so it's going to be over 495. Now 495 I do know is divisible by 5, maybe other things, but 37 is a prime number, so I can't go any further than that. So 37 over 495 is going to be my answer. Okay, let's move on. So we're on A star if we get this right. So pause the video now and have a go. Okay, good circle theorem question. This is quite an easy circle theorem question because there's only 2 circle theorems, none of the harder ones. The 2 circle theorems you need, in fact, some people might be able to do this in one. The 2 circle theorems that's intended for you to use is the one that says opposite sides of a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. So to work out what this one is, let's call this A. A is 180 take away 138. I don't know why I've done that. Let's just get rid of that A equals. Okay, so to do that, let's cross out 7 there. So 10 take away 8 is 2, 7 take away 3 is 4, 1 take away 1 is nothing. So A is 42 degrees. So that's opposite angles, in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. So you need to write that down because this is an online quiz. I don't ask you to give reasons because I can't get the input for that. Maybe I should have a drop down box, but anyway. But you will have to know them. And the second circle theorem is the angle at centre is twice the angle at the circumference. So to work out what this one is, I need to do, so x equals 42 times 2. Double 40 is 80, double 2 is 4, so it's going to be 84. The answer. Let's move on. So question 2, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so probability question. It is independent because they can be picked twice. Okay, so it can be picked for both games. That means it's independent. So there are 23 students, 5 boys and 18 girls. What's the probability the 2 students will be different genders? So to be different genders, we need a boy and then a girl. Probability of a boy is 5 over 23. Probability of a girl is 18 over 23. Times them together because it's the probability of a boy and girl, and the word and in probability means times. Now I'm going to do something I haven't done so far. I'm going to actually times these properly. So 23 times 23. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 2 is 6, then I'm doing 20 times 3 and 2, so I need to put the 0, because it's 20, so 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, I need to add these together, so that's 9, that's 12, and that's 5, so it's 529, so the bottom is going to be 529. And do the top quite easily because 10 times 18 is 180, half of that's 90. Now you might think, yay, I finished. Well, you've sort of got all but maybe 1 or 2 of the marks. It does say different genders. Yes, boy and girl are different genders, but we've missed out girl and boy. Okay, you need to make sure you have both situations covered. So the probability of a girl being picked is 18 over 23, and a boy being picked second is 5 over 23. Now the tops are the same and the bottoms are the same, so that's going to give me the same fraction, 90 over 529. When I add those together, I add the tops to make 180, and I keep the bottom the same, 529. Now 529, I don't think that cancels, although who knows, it probably does, but I'm not going to bother cancelling it. Please do in the exam. It's not obvious that cancels. I don't think it does though. I think they're purely in the 23 times table, not sure though. Alright, let's move on. So question 23, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so we have some simultaneous equations. Objective of these is to get one of these things the same, either the x's or the y's. I normally pick the x's, normally it just makes things easier, for me anyway, but it's up to you. Some people label these A and B, so I'm going to, I don't normally. 3 and 2, they both go into 6, so I'm going to make them both 6. So to get 3 6, I need to times by 2. So some people write 2a there, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to times all of this by 2. So it's going to be 6x plus 8y. And then 27 times 2, well 25 times 2 is 50. 2 times 2 is 4, so it's going to be 54. Okay, then to get 2x to 6x, I need to times it by 3. So I'm going to times the whole of equation b by 3, which gives us 6x, which is good because we wanted them the same, minus 15y. It's really easy to not multiply one of these by 3 or by the number you've picked, equals minus 15. Okay, now we go downwards. Now if I show this with highlights, we're going downwards now, so we are going downwards. So to do this, I need to get rid of x's, that's why I got them the same, to get rid of them. To get rid of them, if I added them I'd get 12x, well I wouldn't get rid of them, so I need to take them away. So I need to take all these things away. 6x take away 6x is 0, that's the whole point. Now this one's quite complicated. 8y minus 15y. Those two minuses will go together to make a plus. So I'm doing 8y plus 15y, which is going to be 23y. And the same thing here, 54 take away minus 15, that's going to be a plus. So it's going to be 69. And looking at this, I'm going to do this a different way to the way I did this earlier. I can divide both sides by 23. And if I divide both sides by 23, I get y equals 3. So I think y equals 3. Now I need to work out what x is. So I'm going to write one of these equations, doesn't matter which, I'm going to pick A, but I'm going to substitute in my y equals 3. So 3x plus 4 times y, which is 12, equals 27. And then I'm going to solve this. So I'm going to take away 12 both sides. So I've got 3x equals 27 take away 12, well that's going to be 15. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So it's x equals 5. Now I can always check this using the second equation. So 2x is 10. Take away 5 times 3 is 15. And that indeed does equal minus 5. So you can leave the test knowing you've got that right. Let's move on. So question 24, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, now to do algebraic fractions, just think about how you do normal fractions. So if I had a third take away 3/4. What you do is you times the bottoms together to get a common denominator, which is 12, and you do 4 times the 1, so or 1 times the 4, okay, and you do that. I'm putting them in brackets, and then you take away the 3 times the 2, or the 2 times the 3. Okay. Now, the way we do the algebraic ones is exactly the same. We're doing the same as you've always learnt to do. Okay, this time though, the denominators have x's in them. That doesn't make it any more difficult. Get in the habit of putting brackets around any of these bottom ones, because you see this as one thing when you're dealing with fractions. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out what the denominator is going to be. So the denominator, just draw a line across. The denominator is going to be x brackets 9 plus x. And it's the other way around to that, but you'd normally put the x at the front of the brackets. Okay, then I'm going to do x times 5, so that's going to be 5x, and then 3 times the 9 plus x, so take away 3 times the 9 plus x. Okay, it's exactly the same as you would do with this question. I've done the same thing, it's just got more algebra in it. Okay, and that equals, so let's get rid of the brackets. 5x take away 27 by the looks of it. Now don't forget this is a minus 3 and we're doing smiles and rainbows, so minus 3 times x is minus 3x, and then over, and let's expand this as well, 9x plus x squared. So the tops will become 5x take away 3x, and let's put this in my answer, is 2x take away 27, that should be a 2x there, and then I'm going to put the x squared first, why not, x squared plus 9x, and that's going to be my answer. Okay, I don't have to show it as at 2 because I can actually draw a square. That's the wonders of pen and paper. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And that's algebraic fractions. That's adding and subtracting. Now, actually, you don't need to, unless otherwise stated, you don't need to factorise your answer. You don't need to put them into brackets. You can do, you still get the mark. On my system, you can't because I haven't programmed the answer for that. But anyway. Let's move on. So, question 25, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, now we were discussing earlier about how the fractions with algebra are in exactly the same process. This is exactly the same process if algebra was in this. These are surds, obviously. First thing to notice is that this is the same as this. If I can draw it right. Doing well with this pen, right? Bad workman always blames their tools. It's the same as saying the bracket twice. In fact, it's exactly the same, and that's the first thing to do, is notice that, is to write this out, equals 2 plus root 3, 2 plus root 3. And then you just do it the same way as you've done before. Now I'm going to use FOIL again. But I really don't mind if you use a different method. I don't think anyone minds. No, the examiner won't. So first is going to be 2 times 2, which is 4. The outside is 2 times root 3, which we write as 2 root 3. The inside is root 3 times 2, which is going to be 2 root 3. And the last is root 3 times root 3. So root 3 times root 3. The rule of surds is you can times the numbers together if they're both surds, so root 9, and the second rule of surds is if you times a surd by itself, you just get the number, you get rid of the surd, so that's going to be 3. When we add these together, unlike before, I said with quadratic ones, it's these two that add together, with surds it's actually the first and last one as well. So 4 plus 3 will give us what this a value is. Okay, the integer. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So it's going to be 7 plus, and then 2 root 3 plus 2 root 3 is 4 root 3. So 4. Okay, so the answer will look like this: 7 plus 4 root 3. Okay, but it only asks for A and B. So A is the 7 and B is the 4. Okay, we're well into an A star and we're nearing the last question. In fact, the next question is the last question. So, oh no, we've got one more question after this. So pause the video and have a go. Okay, these are easy marks. Rationalise the denominator just means get rid of the surd. To get rid of the surd, we times the whole thing by 1. Okay, obviously times it by 1 wouldn't do very much, so we do times it by root 3 over root 3, which is 1. Okay, any number divided by itself is 1. And that allows us to have 6 root 3 at the top. And root 3 times root 3, as we just discussed, is 3. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it's 2 root 3. So my little answer, just 2. Nice and easy. Okay, last question, I promise you this time. Last question, pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so nice vector question to finish on. So the first thing it asks you to do is find AB in terms of little a, little b. So it wants us to go from here to here, but we don't know what the name of that road is, and I always think of these as roads. We need to go down roads that we do know the name of, so we can't go directly there. We've got to go along here. I can go the full way, and then up here. Now, up here, the last bit is nice and easy because we're going the right direction. So that's just going to be plus b. Okay, and there's only one of them, so just plus that. But from A to C, we're going the wrong way. And to show that in maths, the wrong way, we put a minus. So it's minus A plus B. Nice easy question. Now, F is the point on AB such that the ratio of A to F and F to B is 2 to 1. Now, the best way of doing this is just put little notches. I know that for every one of the distances here, there's going to be 2 of the distances here. Therefore, if I put a little notch here, then I can see that all 3 of these are the same. There's 2 on this side, and there's 1 up here. And always do this with notches, it makes it a lot easier to work out. Because some people would think that it was half the way because it's 1 and 2, but ratios don't work like that. So to find CF, so that's from here, and this is our starting point here, to here, I need to go, and there's 2 ways of doing this, 2 directions. Okay, this is probably slightly easier. I'm going to go along here, and then up here. Okay, that's and you could go the other way, you could go up here and down there, that would be fine. Okay, so I'm going to start off going down A, okay, which is my first leg. Then I'm going to go up here. Now, I know that that road is called minus A plus B, so that was the answer to question A. But that's the full road. We haven't gone the full way down that road, we've only gone 2/3 of the way down it. So it's going to be 2/3 of that. Okay, so it's A plus, and let's expand this. Oh, I've put a plus, but it's going to be minus because that A is minus. Minus 2/3 A plus 2/3 B. Now A take away 2/3 will just leave 1/3 A. So 1/3 A plus 2/3 B. And so it'd be 1/3 A plus 2/3 B. And that's our answer. Okay, and that is us finished. Finito, finished. Okay, hopefully you've done well. If you haven't, then go back through it, go back through this video, have a look at it again, whatever helps you. As I said, go to the website and check out other resources, hints, guides, and the online predicted paper. Predicted paper 2 will be coming shortly, so keep an ear out. We now have a Twitter account, so if you go to the website or in the description or wherever these things go, or maybe there's a caption appearing on screen as I speak right now, join us on Twitter. It's a brand new thing, but it allows me to tell you when resources are out and when I've created predicted papers or anything else. But if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, click subscribe and like and whatever other buttons there are next to this video. I've been heavily encouraged by the success of last year's videos and the amount of people who have subscribed and pressed like and everything to make more videos, and I'm going to continue making more videos the more people want them, and you show me you want them by clicking subscribe. Anyway, I am knackered. It's taken me how many hours to make this video, so I'm going to go and have a nap. So good night and good luck. Thank you.